10 minutes past 3 in the morning and I've just finished uploading a video and replying to comments. I did wake up at 2 today, but because I slipped out of my sleeping pattern the day before, it was quite difficult to wake up. Although I did wake up at like, you know when you wake up and you think you're about to have to wake up? Like if you wake up at like 5:30 in the morning, you normally get up at 6, you wake up at 5:30 in the morning and you're like, I feel like I'm late, you know? I feel like I'm late for getting up. Because A, you're not tired because you just naturally woke up, and B, like it's close-ish to the normal time. That happened to me. I woke up at 12 o'clock. I was like, oh shit, I think I should be awake. I think like I may have like accidentally not set my alarm or something, and then checked it and I was fine. So yeah, but the video is sorted. I'm going to jump on to fixing the configuration of my project. I threw a grenade into it and broke it off because I decided I was getting configuration stuff from the wrong place. I'm not going to work today. I'm going to a event in town, so it's going to be a different day. It's going to be a fun, different day, and I don't need to decide. Well, I don't need to worry about being tired at work, but I do need to worry about falling asleep in a big presentation. A feeling when you finally like picked up the pieces and rebuilt the sculpture after you've thrown a grenade in and just broken everything, and then you just like got to battle through the rubble, and then all of a sudden it's just like back to normal. Other news: my most recent video, the like one about 4 years. But no, not the one I've just uploaded, the one before that. Something like 4 hours sleep or something. I got an email from YouTube saying that it had been flagged, one email from YouTube saying that that video had got flagged as being inappropriate / violating guidelines, community guidelines, and upon further review they deemed that it was needed to be removed. So they removed the video. It's like it's been taken down. I don't know if any of you watched that video. Oh, fuck knows. Rewatch that. I have no idea what possibly could have gone, what possibly could have not been through. I'm assuming it went through some kind of automated system and got tagged somehow, and then they removed it. But I feel like that's a bit heavy-handed. It's a bit heavy-handed to just flat out remove a video on an automated system. Because if you watch, like, I know obviously it's a long video, but if you watch it, there is zero that could even come close to violating those guidelines. So anyway, I'm arguing against it. Sometimes, like, the videos get like dinged for copyright, and they'll like take monetization away, or sometimes monetization gets turned off for inappropriate whatever, you know, the standard YouTube thing nowadays. Or it will get like, I'll get a thing saying, oh, some copyright is taken on this video. And 9 times out of 10 I just leave it, because I don't care. Like, I don't really give a damn. But like this leaves like an actual strike on my account. Like, it's turned off the feature to be able to live stream from my daily vlog channel. Obviously I'm not going to, but I can't do that. I have to use my main channel because that one hasn't got the ding on it. Yeah, so I'll fight it. I've raised this has been done inappropriately form thing, and we'll see how well that goes. So that's gonna be fun. But I gotta have a nap, boys. So I've come to town for the day. I'm actually at a conference, a SQL conference, which is interesting because I normally try and avoid SQL like goddamn plague. It's one of them things that I want to learn. I want to get better at it. So opportunity came up to go to this conference, and I went. They do food there, but I'm also meeting Laura for lunch because she's going back to Nottingham this weekend. So I'm going to meet Laura for lunch, and like the queue for the buffet was like way too long. So I thought I'd head out, grab some food, and then I'll be ready and I can spend lunch with Laura. She doesn't leave for another 15 minutes, so that dragged. I learned a couple of things, saw a couple of technologies I wasn't too aware of, but whether or not I use them is a different question. I need to head back. I need to get back for a nap time, and then I need to start some food. We haven't got an oven, did I tell you that? Our oven is broken until an undisclosed date, when my landlord came to look at it and figured out what it was. He said, I've ordered the part, and then he's like, I'll fix it when I come back from holiday. I'm like, hey. Luckily we use hobs more than we use ovens, but today I was planning to use an oven. Gonna have beans on toast or something, can't be bothered to do anything else. Yeah, but yeah, I've got to get back and have a little nap. I was going to longboard down today, but I didn't know if I could put my longboard anywhere, so I bust down with Laura instead. I always like getting like some cool swag from these kind of events, but today I just got like a load of pieces of paper, like advertisement. And last time I went to an event like this, it was like DDD Southwest, a developer, Southwest, and I got a friggin' bouncy ball, which is the coolest bouncy ball, like stress ball thing ever. This time, I've got a boomerang. I've never had a boomerang before, but when I was having lunch with Laura, I tried it out twice, and it's defective. So, otherwise, I am literally killing time up until the point where I have my like nap at 5 past, because that's the time I normally sleep when I get back from work. So I'm trying not to go to bed earlier than that. I'm trying to get into the system, you know. Had some dinner and I've chilled out for a little bit, but this weekend is not about chilling out, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my back. A little bit funny there, my back just went like... we are going to have the entire weekend to ourselves. I'm picking Laura up from the train station late Sunday. So this entire weekend is essentially mine to do with what I wish. There's a couple of jobs I need to do, like clothes wash and hoover, tidy up, that kind of stuff. The normal shiz whiz, but otherwise, I just have a date. I have a date with Atlas. We're going to get shit done. I'm going to basically double down, get a load of stuff out and sorted. Recently I got all the configuration set up for mass transit, so I have things talking to the service bus, which is all jolly good fun. Now I just kind of essentially, I've got the plumbing, I've got the framework, all I need to do is start actually doing all of the business logic. Yes! Finally! One part of the puzzle that was actually quite useful from today was like Event Hub. Actually seeing like Event Hub in action looks pretty good. I like the idea of Event Hub because it will be like, I was essentially thinking of using something like SignalR to get data out of my many cluster node things. But an Event Hub system might be really good. I was also thinking about using Service Bus, but I think Service Bus is a bit OTT as well. But Event Hub looks pretty grand, because I have the complication of having to manage a number of scalable basically containers and applications, and getting data out from them, and also kind of knowing when they're finished. So they'll be able to talk to the message bus to say like, I'm done, I've got nothing to do, or whatever. Managing that bit's going to be difficult. Actually like scaling back down, but scaling up and then monitoring the output from all of them. We'll use Event Hub to just drive events out, and then that will be able to relay that back to the user through either SignalR, because it's actually to the user, instead of using SignalR as like an internal messaging system, which doesn't sound good at all. The original plan was to use Service Bus to do that kind of stuff, but Service Bus is not designed for that, whereas Event Hub looks a lot better. But yeah, that's by the by, that's a bit down the road. I'm aiming to forge past all of my like security stuff. I want to be able to get all of the security stuff up and running. I'm literally at the point where I just kind of need to send the verification email, click the link and it's like, verified. But there's like all the plumbing involved of doing that is still to go. I've got the framework and the scaffolding, it's just the actual business logic. It's kind of weird doing work now because it's like 20 to 9 and I go to bed, still go to bed around 11ish. Whereas normally I'd end up staying up to like 2 o'clock. I'm still going by my normal sleeping pattern even though Laura's not here. Because I need to get into the pattern of it. It's no joke this, it's no laughing matter. We have integration, we have it all sorted. One problem I had was trying to figure out how to set up the IDs in Mongo. Identity server, sorry, not identity server, ASP identity was storing the things in Mongo with the wrong ID. Because Mongo has a weird representation of IDs, so when I was trying to pull them back out again, it was fucking it up. But that ain't a problem no more. We have it now so that it's reading out the information properly. I have the event now on the bus, so that all I need to do essentially is send that in an email, and it will work. So I'm going to start looking at doing Azure functions, which is going to be good. It's nearly 10:30. So I might just start winding down now before bed. I just made myself a cup of tea, didn't realise how late it was. Or I might just go back and retrofit validation for passwords, because the passwords are more secure now than my front end was allowing me to set up. So I think I'm actually just going to chill out for a little bit, wind down before bed, because there's no point jumping into doing Azure functions now. Bearing in mind I'm going to go to bed in like half an hour / 40 minutes, so may as well chill out. We'll hit that at 2 in the morning. I think this is going to be like the weirdest thing. Because, like, to a certain extent, doing the sleeping pattern I'm doing is so that I can get a lot of work done while Laura's here without, like, overlapping with her and, like, wanting to work when she wants to do something else, i.e. working when she's asleep. So it's going to be weird getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to do work when she's not even here. Productivity is the key. This is the thing. We want to just try and just get fucking work done. It's not very often that I get such, like, solid amounts of time. So I apologise if you guys aren't interested in this. But I am. And I'm going to have a great time. I've been going through a lot of this Azure stuff. And, like, the reason I've decided to go with Azure Functions is because, essentially, sending an email isn't something that you need a microservice for. It's, you listen to a message on a queue, you pull the email from some kind of storage, you populate it with data, you just slap it straight into just send it off. And Azure Functions is really good at stuff like that. So that's essentially the reason I've done it. At some point in the future I may want to pull that down into its own microservice so that I can manage whether I communicate via different means, whatever. Likewise, I'm planning the same kind of thing as, like, kind of a logging stuff for, like, essentially audit style things, but to keep log of actions that each user has done so that they can view that later, as like a kind of a history of stuff. Likewise, that could be a microservice, but it feels a bit overweight. It feels like it takes a little bit too much time to spin up a microservice for something like that. However, I'm trying to make the Azure Functions, but I'm trying to do it, like, properly. I've, like, created a Git repository and all this kind of stuff, and I feel like I'm, like, looking into it all, and I feel like I should just bodge it in the thing, because essentially I'm bodging it. That's, like, well, I'm planning to bodge it, you know. I'm not planning to do it properly. I'm planning to take this all out again later in the future. So I'm like, should I just kind of just do it in the portal and then not have it in my own, it's like lives completely separately to, like, my VSTS and Git solutions, or do I try and do it properly and try and deploy it through VSTS? I don't know. The thing that put me on edge was I'm like, I've got to figure out where to hide the configuration stuff, because it's just, like, in source control with, like, API keys. Not only do I have to, like, transform that for each environment, I also need to try and figure out a way of hiding it. And I can't do it. I can't figure out a way how to do it anyway. And I'm like, do I, you know what I mean? Am I overcomplicating this? Should I just make it as simple as I possibly can? Also, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. To be fair, it's actually quite nice when Laura's not here and it's 4 o'clock in the morning, because it means I can have this door open, there can be air circulating around, I don't have to be quiet, I don't have to put headphones on, so I'm living the dream. But yeah, so that's what I'm trying to figure out what to do at the moment. Essentially have to pick one. And I feel like I'm just going to go with the functions for now. It's agile. It's all I need. I don't need it to be as bulletproof as the rest of my stuff. All it's doing is sending an email. Literally to me. It literally sends an email to me. Because that's it at the moment. So I guess what's confusing me is, like, essentially everything else I've set up in dev. Like, it's a local thing, so I have a local service bus. Well, it's not local, but it's mine. Does that make sense? So the 3 things I have at the moment, I have some blob storage, I have a message bus, and a database, Cosmos database. All of those things are designed to be, if I was in a team of 20 people, they will be for me. And then we would have another set of those things for, like, all of the environments. So you'd have one for, like, development or test or production. But the difference between this is this is just production. Like, there is no me. Or I'd have to create a new one and, I assume, copy code. I think. Gotta be said, I'm getting a bit fucking happy with the old Azure, aren't I? I'm just friggin' spinning stuff up left, right and bloody centre at the moment. I'm living the dream. This is great. This is genuinely really cool. Like, the amount of stuff that you can get for really cheap to free even without free credits, is insane. At some point, it's going to stop being cheap. Because at some point, I'm going to want to do rapid scaling of Docker containers. That's not going to be cheap at all. Or, for that matter, hosted service fabric stuff, which isn't going to be cheap. So at that point, that's when I'm going to start trying to enter free trials and things. I had a free trial ages ago on the account I'm using at the moment. But yeah, I'm saving my free trial for that basically. As soon as I'm ready to scale, and I'm like, okay, I've got it all sorted. Let's try the mother trucker. So basically, anything that's small that I don't want to set up myself locally and can't run locally, I put into Azure. So I currently have like email sending, and I have functions which I've just set up. It's just finished deploying, and now it's time to write some code. Alright, let's have fun. Quite a slow morning this morning as I was getting myself up and ready for the day. I've just been chilling, watching a little bit of TV and whatnot. I always find it, because obviously like Laura's not here, so I can't watch any of the normal programmes that I'd watch when she's around, which is quite annoying because I want to watch them. I run out of like other things to watch, so I end up having to like watch garbage, but I rediscovered Shameless on 4OD, so that's alright. Otherwise, I am just about to settle down into doing some more work. I've got to start setting up. I want to be able to send out these emails. I'm going to set up the. Basically, the plan is I'm going to save the emails in Azure blob storage, or another piece of storage if it's better. I'm going to have a look into it, and then I'm going to just send that out using SendGrid. I'm going to default it in dev to only ever email me. Is that true? Test it through. The first time I test it through, I'll test it with not just emailing me, and it'll read it from the thing, but then after that I will just overload it with something from the app settings file, so that it'll only ever email me, and that way I can keep on top of it. The problem is obviously that I can only create one account with one username, so if I ever want to, with one email address, so if I ever want to send another activation email to myself for testing purposes or whatever, I've only got a limited number of emails I can use before I have to stop deleting ones I've already generated. So. Right, let's go. I'm trying to, because I'm doing all the development in this Azure portal thing for Azure Functions, it's quite difficult to, like, I have to keep copy and pasting it out into Visual Studio so I can have IntelliSense. I'm like, what's the API on this? Help me. It's weird having to joey your hair up just so that you can think. Because I'm here and I'm like, I can't concentrate, and it's my hair's fault. There's something that really annoys me about this Azure Functions thing. Right, it's got this really nice UI for adding, you can do it by JSON file if you want to, but it's got a really nice UI to add like triggers, so you can say, when this message gets put on the message bus, take this input from blob storage and then output an email and another event onto the message bus. You can only, when you first create the function, you create the trigger, you don't create anything else, you're just the trigger, and then it automatically generates you some code. So it will generate you something like that, right? But if you change the inputs or the output, this all changes, but it doesn't update, so you have to manually change that. And that's a bastard. I wish there should just be an auto update button. You have to like look at where, like, how that's generated. And there's got to be an easier way. Oh god, as much as I don't like going back on stuff, I'm going to make a bloody repo and put it through source control, because it's such a pain in the arse. Like, I want to be able to reference NuGet packages and stuff, and it's just, it's killing me. Like, I'm getting zero debugging information out of it, and it's driving me up the bloody wall. Anyways, I'm going to have some lunch and then jump back into it. I need to get, that's what I came in here for. I need to get some mince out for dinner. That is like always Laura's job, and whenever she's not here, I always forget. To the point where I'll be very surprised if that actually defrosts in time. Come on, boy. There is very little documentation on how to set up Azure Functions with mass transit. Like, very little. Although I've seen one person, and like, I've seen one thread on GitHub, which is open, that appears to be saying like there's issues with it because of the way that it automatically generates topics, which isn't good. And it's worth considering. Do I drop back and try and do an Azure Functions thing? I'm just pushing some of the drying away before the washer's finished. Do I finish doing the Azure, what am I saying? Easiest solution, right? The not necessarily the easiest, but the one that I know will definitely work is a microservice. Just use a microservice, slap in my mass transit, listener, jobber, job done, right? That's what I'd want in the end, but it's not something that I think is like, I don't necessarily think it's worth spinning it up yet. I was hoping to be able to spin up a quick function and just deal with it. But it doesn't seem to be the case. Or do I try and get it running but make it like a full Visual Studio solution rather than like a online generated one? Thing is, like I say, like no one else seems to have done this yet. Can't find any blog posts on it or anything, or any kind of helpers, which terrifies me a tiny bit. I feel like someone would have blogged it by now. I sent out a bit of a tweet. I think, as much as I want to get into this Azure Functions stuff, there isn't like any supported way of interacting with it via mass transit. And while mass transit essentially just sits on top of Azure Service Bus, which Azure Service Bus is the thing that it does support, I feel like it's going to be better not to try and just to go down the service fabric route, which is the way I know, and it's the way that I want to have in the future anyway. Like I said, I've just tweeted out to see if there's two people I know. One person who did a talk on Azure Functions, and one guy who did a talk on Service Fabric. But I use his NuGet package to do to add a listener for mass transit. So instead of having it like sat within like a web thing or in a service, it literally just sits and it's like perfectly contained inside a, you know, the web listener thing. That, but for mass transit, it's dope. I know he's active in mass transit, and I've seen he's done a couple of blogs on Azure Functions, but I haven't seen any blogs on the topic of mass transit and Azure Functions in the same breath, and that scares me. So I'll see if they can get back to me. I'll have another Google around while I'm having lunch, but otherwise I might bottle it and just go for just for writing a microservice to do it instead, because A, that's what we're going to go to in the future. B, while it's a bit of work, I can just churn it out. I literally wrote one of these things for work not long ago. Although, was that on Service Fabric? Yeah, it was. Not Service Fabric, sorry. No, it wasn't on Service Fabric. That was the thing. So, it's not rocket science, but yeah. And then, to be fair, I can scale down some cloud stuff as well. But okay, I've tracked it down to what the problem is. The problem is that mass transit generates its events and topics with a / in it to represent the difference between the namespace and the class. That's supported on Azure Service Bus, but it's not supported on Azure Functions. And it's really bizarre. Like the UI will throw a warning. It's like if you go over a certain character length in the topic, it'll throw a warning. But it works. Like if you just edit the XML in the background, the JSON in the background, it works fine. So that's fun. What I'm currently doing is I'm going to time box about 15 minutes to try and look into how to force the name of the namespace. So instead of using the entire namespace, just use the name itself. And then if that doesn't work, then I'm going to have to go down the normal route. I've spent like a good amount of time on this already, 48 minutes-ish. I've got this far, and that's excluding the amount of time I spent on lunch. So if not, I'm just going to put my head down and just spin out a Service Fabric instance. So close. I tracked down in the source code where it was putting in this / and tried to overwrite it with my own my own thing instead. I don't want to play. Just does not want to play with me. So let's spin up a microservice then. Fuck's sake. I'm trying my best to do it. just do it, you know. To just have an easy life, not make things overcomplicated. And I try to do that by just going to this thing where you write literally like 10 lines of code and then bam, there you go, there's an email. No, now I've got to create an entire new fucking repo, an entire new microservice. Could argue that this happens to me because I always try and play with new stuff before new stuff's ready. But why is it not? What a random thing where like, yeah, we can do everything with the functions, Azure functions and Azure Service Bus, as long as the topic doesn't have a forward slash in it. Well, that's like quite a normal thing, is to separate out your frickin' namespace like that. Well, I mean, okay, maybe it's not a normal thing, but one of the two leading service bus providers, Mass Transit and Service Bus being the other one, does this. Fuck. Oh man. Anyway, so I'm aware that this must be really boring, me just sat here programming. And as frustrating as it is, I'm really enjoying myself. This is my idea of how to have a good time. Like, legitimately. Like, if no one else is around, I'm on my own, I'm just going to work. I don't want to go outside and do stuff. I want to just sit down and just churn out some code. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. I said in the meal plan that I'd throw together a batch of chilli because we were running out, and I make a damn good chilli, boy. It just dawned on me that I've got to eat this chilli without garlic bread because we don't have an oven. That's like eating a sandwich with no crisps. That was lovely. It was, like I say, like a sandwich with no crisps. I do love a good chilli. It's actually one of the meals that I miss the most. Like, you know when you go on holiday, it's like, when you go home, oh, I can't wait for a nice fucking lovely chilli. I just saw lightning then. It's not in any way, shape or form thundery outside, so couldn't have been. It's 8:30. I'm thinking about having another chunk, another hour of work, maybe. Depends if I get a bit distracted. Again, have another hour of work and then maybe just trying to chill out before having dinner tonight. Going to bed. That's my plan. Alright, it's 10 o'clock. I've logged the timing of 9 hours and 20 minutes of programming today so far. Woo! If you exclude all of the time I've been programming today, i.e. after I've woken up, i.e. like after 6 o'clock in the morning, I've done this week 14.5 hours of programming. And I've still got one more day to go and another 3-hour chunk to go. But at current state, I'm on 21 hours, which is friggin' awesome. I've just been looking at extracting out half of the stuff I've been doing. Just about to start building up the communication stuff. And I realised that I was going to end up reusing half of the things that I created for the security service. So I built on top of Mediator. So I had a nice little API to call and a nice way of like relaying information back from commands of whether they were successful or not. So commands don't normally reply anything. They either throw an exception or thingy. But I wanted to be able to have a little bit of information back on basically a success state, whether or not it works or not, without having to catch exceptions. So what I did was I wrapped it. I managed to wrap out this entire thing to mean that it would always return this base object, which the caller can then say, hey, were you successful, yay, nay? And then if you weren't successful, you can go, okay, was it a validation error? Like, if you cared. Are you a validation error? In which case I can change what HTTP status to push back to the user. I can also give you a brief summary of what your error was, if I want to, all of that gubbins. Yeah, so anyway, I was just about to start replicating all that, and I'm like, I should really pull this out into its own NuGet package. So, I've just been building up that NuGet package. Also, someone from the Azure Functions people at Microsoft have just tweeted me back about Mass Transit, so maybe all of this has been for shit. And I'll just go, hey, here's the thing, and hopefully, because it means that I won't have to recreate this when I have to do audit login and stuff like that, which is not going to be fun either. But it's 10 o'clock, I have 50 minutes before I have to go to bed. I'll make myself a nice cup of tea, and I have to go chill out for a little bit. It's been very go, go, go today, and I want it to be go, go, go tomorrow because I want to get to the point where I can send this bloody email. In theory, it shouldn't take too long, in theory, to write this communication stuff, because every time I'm doing things that are like interfacing with the user, it doesn't look very good. It's literally just like spitting out information to the screen. It's just spitting out text boxes, you type it in, you press a button, bam. So the same thing with the email, it's literally just going to be a link. I'm just going to email a link. I'll probably pass like, in fact no, there won't even be, because I don't know the person's name, so I can't even like address it to them. It's just a link. You click on the link, job done. Because I'm worrying about all of that stuff later. instead of fretting about styles and shit. I knew I'd get like this amount of time in programming. That's why I brought my good glasses home, because they're a lot more comfortable to watch TV, watch like computer screens with, because of the type of anti-glare they have. It's better than my old ones. That's why my old ones are here and my new ones are at work, where I wear them all the time. I'm not gonna lie, I've been doing this no sleep thing for a week now, but it's really hard to like stay on it. When you're doing it, it's fine. But the problem is, when you set your alarm in the morning, if you don't just get up, and leave the bed, just jump out of bed and then just like wake yourself up, stood up somewhere else, you're gonna fall back to sleep. And then that's basically what happened last night. The alarm went off at 2. I remember rolling onto my back and being like, right, okay, come on then, let's get up, let's go do some stuff. And then I was dreaming about buying a Tesla and not being able to charge it at 8 o'clock this morning. It just takes such a long time to get into the state where it's natural. Like, it's not like tiring. I don't feel tired doing it, but I don't feel, what I was trying to say, I'm not naturally waking up at 2 like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm dragging myself up. But yeah, so cocked up that one. I'm trying to find some hard drive space on Atlas, because the C drive's full and it's throwing issues with Surface Fabric, and then I'm diving back into it because I've got some freaking time to catch up, boy. The problem is, like, so much shit has just been put on Atlas over the years. Like Emacs. Why the fuck have I got Emacs on this computer? For example, Android. Why the fuck? I've never really wanted to delete it all, just in case I need it. Because I'm that kind of, I'm a bit of a hoarder. But the thing is, if you took Atlas away from me, with the exception of video editing stuff, my surfaces, both surfaces, would suffice. They would be absolutely fine. So I've got everything I need on them. So why do I carry around so much shit? I'm just uninstalling Visual Studio Community, because I've now got Enterprise. So, with a license from the work, and now I am getting on with it. I'm trying to figure out, I'm building up this API thing on the back end, and I'm building up the mediator pipeline malarkey. So what I have at the moment is, every time you call mediator, the first thing it does is validate the message that you sent, if it's got a validator. If it doesn't have a validator, it just sails straight through. So it applies validation, and what it was previously doing was throwing an exception, which meant I was catching the exception and then going, okay, right, return a 422 or whatever it is to the user over the web API. Otherwise, return bad command. Well, if you went through the message bus, then you're not going to get a response anyway. But that's how I was like relaying the information back to the user. But I've now decided to wrap that up into like a validation error. So instead of throwing an exception, it swallows it, but it only swallows it if it knows what the response is going to be. So you can request through through Mediator the type of response you want, which most of the time you won't want any. In my world, if you inherit from my base, in fact, have I already defined that? In my world, I've defined a base object, which it will, which I'm always going to reply with. You don't have to go through that route. It will still do this regardless. However, if you do go through that route, I just built a method, so instead of going through and through an exception, it will build up that response and then spit it back. Now, is that weird? Is that like a bad API? Because based on the response that you've requested, it will either throw an exception, which is like bad, or it will return a result that seems valid. That, well, isn't valid, but hasn't finished. You know what I mean? It will return an error, just not as an exception. Is that bad? Because you've got one method that, in theory, does two things. There's two different methods. One's a generic overload, and the other one is the core one that throws the exception. So I have one that throws an exception, and one that's got a generic parameter, which will automatically trigger if your response is the response that we care about. Is that true? Would it automatically trigger? If you call handle with a T, it should know. My theory is here that it will dynamically call the generic one if it knows what your response is, even though you haven't told it to. That's what I've essentially done. Maybe I should just tell it to instead, though. So there's been an update to XUnit, and unit tests are fucking ferociously fast. Like legitimate deja vu here, as I'm basically, like, it wasn't long ago that we extracted our old communication email service from the old microservice world into the new world. And basically, like, I'm writing mappers. I'm like, this mapper is pretty freaking similar. I'll put some washing away though, and then maybe break for lunch. It's 11:30. Oh gosh, I'm burning up a little bit more today. I've been working a lot is the thing, I think. I'm now starting to feel the burn, so I've got to try and like refocus in. I'm annoyed at myself because I didn't get up this morning. I didn't come in here. What did I come in? You know when you go into a room to pick up the Nexus. I wanted the Nexus so that I could watch YouTube videos while I put this washing away. And walked in, picked up some socks off the floor, walked out. Of like all of the jobs that you have to do when you like live in a flat or whatever, putting the washing away / putting it up to dry is easily the worst job. Like, give me cleaning the kitchen, cleaning the bathroom, don't mind, I'll do that, whatever Trevor. Something about just putting the washing away. It just takes forever, it's so boring. God damn it. It's not like you can do, I think what it is you can't do it well. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to have a clean, if you want to clean the kitchen, you can do it well. You can have like a proper like deep clean. Speaking of which, the sink needs a clean. But you can't do that for just putting clothes away. God damn it. That's 5 hours of work done, and I'm going to take a break and do something else, i.e. hoover, iron, and cook dinner. Because I'm starting to lose the plot a bit. God damn it. I'm on the bit that's like, still haven't sent an email yet. I've like built all of the infrastructure to get that working, and I'm like at the point now where it just writes the email. But I've got some configuration to drive in as well, because I've obviously FML, guys, FML. Oh fuck, I've just seen the length of this video. Holy shit. How long does it actually take to send an email, guys? And there she blows. There is the fucking email, boy! Fucking just in time, because I have about 5 minutes to drink this cup of tea and then I've got to go pick up Laura. I literally just managed to spin up a build configuration for it. I need to go. It took me about 5 minutes. I checked it in, the communication thing, checked it in, realised I didn't have one. I'm pretty proud of that. I've managed to spin up an entire microservice, define its build definition, implement the ability to subscribe to a message bus and then fire emails based on events put on that message bus, including putting on events once you've done it. Send it an email, admittedly a very dumb email, all in like 8 hours of programming. A day's worth of programming. That ain't bad, boy. Right, we've done 6 hours and 45 minutes of programming today. That is probably going to be all because, like I say, I've got to go pick up the bay. I'm going to end my video here, ladies and gentlemen. What's my neck? Waking up early in the morning so that I can reconfigure in the rest of the things. The thing that's listening to that event will then have to do some stuff, and then I've got to start creating the like page to give me details, I guess, which is going to be dope. Pretty happy with the way that things have gone today. And this weekend, to be fair. I wasted quite a lot of time, I don't waste it, investigating the serverless stuff, trying to get Azure Functions to do it for me, and I would have saved a significant amount of time had I done that. That 9 hours would have been like 2 if it had worked, but it didn't work, and then I had to spend the 9 hours, so therefore that's why I've only got sending this emails done this weekend rather than in a day. But thank you very much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. It's been jolly good fun. If you watch this video, congrats. I thoroughly enjoy doing this kind of stuff. I really enjoy it. Just like, I'm about to leave the house. Got my shoes on and everything. I haven't left the house since I got in on Friday. I've just been working then since. I've just been like, hitting shit out the door. Thanks for watching. I'll make sure I get this video uploaded for you in the morning. I'll catch you later.